So, from the mid to the late 70s, things were going to change. There was going to be, and this isn't hyperbole when I say there was going to be a seismic shift in the UK comics scene that was going to resonate through the 80s. And we're not going to go into the 80s in this episode. This is part 2 of my ongoing personal saga of my comic book journey. And come on, we all know by now, if you've seen the thumbnail, if you watched the first episode of this is part 2, you know what I'm talking about. And this comic would echo into eternity. Join me after the scroll for the second part of my very, very, very personal journey after my very, very personal scroll. Bonjour and welcome to all of you comic book geeks, readers and collectors to part 2 of my personal journey through my life history, like my autobiography told through comics, because that's what I love. And I realised how much comics has been an integral part of my life for a long time. So I've done part 1. Now we start in 1977. Forget all that's gone before. February, end of February 1977. I wouldn't have even been 10. I wasn't 10 years old until May of 1977, and this hit the newsstands. Now, full disclosure, I didn't get this. Look at the space spinner as well. How good am I? I need to encapsulate this in Boing or CGC, whichever's the best. But I bought this. I bought this for £5 because the first issue I got was issue 2. I'd seen the adverts there was actually adverts running on the telly, and in the UK at this time we had 3 channels. We had BBC 1 and 2, and we had ITV. And anyway, I'd seen the advert. Issue 1 had sold out. The newsagents and there was only 2 or 3, within walking distance, biking distance, whatever you want to, we didn't, there was no travelling around, I'm only 9, so it's not like I'm going to, anyway. This was the first issue I picked up, and this is the actual first issue. I don't know why there's a little bit of pen there, and it's yellowing. This was the first issue I picked up. And yes, I did use the stickers. We all did. We all went to school. We was a robot for a day. And no, they didn't come off. And this was the first issue that Judge Dredd appeared in. Suffice to say, it blew my mind. Flesh, invasion, Judge Dredd, Harlem Heroes, Mac 1. Mac 1 for me was the least of the stories, because I was watching $6 Million Man anyway on the TV, so Mac 1 did seem a bit too it's a bit like Hookjaw from Action, that was obviously Jaws, and Dredger that was obviously from Action, that was obviously or Battle, that was no, it was Action, that was obviously Dirty Harry. You know, I get where Pat Mills was coming from and John Wagner when they created Battle and Action, and they were all in the background. But up until this point, I was getting the funny comics and I was getting Bullet and Warlord. This come along and blew everything out of the water. Everything. And as well as blowing my mind. Here's issue 3, look, with the wallet. And yes, I did use the Red Alert wallet. We all did. At school, you know, we just did it. We did it. Dan Dare cover, I don't know who's the artist on that, but Bella Donnelly's artwork on this first Dan Dare, I didn't know him from Eagle. Like I say, I'm 9 years old. I didn't know Eagle existed in the 60s. I didn't know they'd resurrected Dan Dare for a new generation. All I knew was the Biogs. Do we remember the Biogs from this first run of Dan Dare? Massimo Belladonnelli's artwork was just wow. It just come at me. It was like it was like an airbag going off in in a high speed crash. It was like poof. Yeah, it was. In the meanwhile, Marvel UK was providing us with reprints of all the early Lee, Kirby, Lee, Ditko, etc. Storylines of Hulk, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, etc. This is the year of Star Wars as well. So literally, you know, pre-teen, teen minds are being blown in the cinema and in, I don't know when Battlestar Galactica come out in the telly, on the telly, but it was all going off. It was all kicking off. And one of my mates at school, he was picking up this. So I'm still not in 1977 stroke 78. So 2000 AD was 77, and it was blowing everything out. You know, UK boys' adventure comics were gone, were done. Battle had come out before 2000 AD, so had Action. And I think Pat Mills on this one with IPC Fleetway. What was it, IPC, or was it called Fleetway at the time? Whatever the publisher that was at the time. But one of my mates at school, he's picking this up. Now, the newsagents I was going to at the time, I was picking up all my funny comics with my mum once a week, you know, when we went shopping, and I went with her, whatever day it would be, or whatever afternoon it would be. But no, come on, Fantastic Four. My mate had, and it wasn't issue 1, it was this issue that he had. And again, now this was the Buscema. These were reprinting the Buscema era of Fantastic Four. But nevertheless, so we're 5 or 6 years behind the Fantastic Four run in the early 70s. And wow, couldn't get enough of it. So now I'm getting out and about on my own, a little bit more independent, you know what I mean? Got a little bit of pocket money on my hip. And this was the first issue. And I remember it vividly, picking this up. And it's still in my collection to this day. And it's probably, it will always be probably one of the most valuable comics, as well as 2000 AD number 2, not number 1 with a space spinner that I bought for £5 after I became a collector, because I missed it. Newsagents are sold out. But this was the comic I picked up with my own hands, and firstly, fell in love with the Defenders. What a hodgepodge group of superheroes. Doctor Strange, Hulk, Silver Surfer, Valkyrie, you know, and then that roster, the roster that continued. Just fell in love with it. Fell in love with it. Marvel UK was obviously picking the best of the best, but there was such a lot. I mean, at this time, you know, all the horror stuff was coming. Dracula Lives and Planet of the Apes, they were bringing out, and we'll get on to a few other bits as well. Here we go. So I had to pick this up as well, didn't I? I had to, because I'd seen the film. That blew my mind. Same year, 78. So this is February 1978 in England. I'm still not, there is, where I live, in my little town in Essex, there are no American import. There are no American comics. So I'm relying on DC Thompson in Scotland, Fleetway IPC in London, and Marvel UK to give me my comic fix. So, a comic adaptation of the best film ever, at the time, obviously. So I start picking up Star Wars. So now I'm getting Bullet, Warlord, and by now I am dropping the old Beano and Dandy and Whizzer and Chips and Whoopee and all. That's kid stuff. That's kid stuff. Now I'm all grown up now. I'm reading 2000 AD. I'm reading Flesh. What? Time travelling back to the prehistoric age to cut up dinosaurs to send back to the future world as for food. Adult stuff. Judge Dredd. Judge, Jury and Executioner. Come on, I don't need Whizzer and Chips anymore. So from that, from Rampage, Star Wars Weekly, Mighty World of Marvel. I didn't get it from issue 1, even though I know I've done back issue haul videos, but these are the issues. The Ernie Chan, like the Sal Buscema Ernie Chan run that Marvel UK would have been doing in 1978. So just letting, it would have been a year, because obviously memory is hazy about what actually went on and how I dropped Beano, Dandy, Whizzer and Chip. It would have been progressively dropping comics out and introducing comics in. And it was all a little bit sporadic. I wouldn't have been getting this every single week, or Star Wars. No, actually Star Wars I was getting every single week. But not Mighty World of Marvel, and I think there were Spider-Man weeklies, but they're all gone now. And then a year later, look at this one. Now, comics were definitely growing up. Definitely growing up. Now, suddenly, you've got glossy paper and colour that just bounced off the page. Strontium Dog. Well, yeah, say no more. The free gifts are plenty. Free gifts are plenty. They're all gone. They're all gone. That Space Spinner only exists because, like I say, I had to buy that after the fact because I missed issue 1. It all sold out. Other than that, all these free gifts, all the free gifts are gone. Lovely Kevin O'Neill cover here. And what's happening as well is, look at this Carlos Esquera cover. And what's happening now is I am noticing artwork. I'm noticing people. It's still subconscious, but I know I'm appreciating a Carlos Esquera drawn story, or it wouldn't be Bolland yet, but you know what I mean. I would be, especially Gene Colan Daredevil in the Marvel UK reprints in this late 70s era. His work and the Dracula Lives, like, wow. You're starting to You are. I was starting to appreciate individual artists, and that's early on. This is early on. Anyway, Starlord didn't last long. Great experiment, but he joined 2000 AD. It was a shame, and even harking back, it was a shame. It should have carried on. It was a worthy experiment. And look at Kevin O'Neill. Here we go. This is where the art. This is what I mean about the artist recognition. A Carlos Esquerra cover. Late 70s. We're still not out of the 70s yet, and Brian Bolland gives us a Judge Dredd cover like that. And what's happening is I'm recognising the styles, and I'm just looking back now at young me, thinking, oh, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, young hog, because you are appreciating it on another level, on a different level. Look at this Kevin O'Neill cover, look. And they was doing a slightly glossier paper as well in this era, and it only lasted a couple of months. I don't know, there's obviously a story. There's obviously a story behind it. Look at the back of this one. Look, obviously keeping it in line with Star Wars, and we're still in 1979, so we're still 2 years after. Look, and they're still banging on, but we don't mind, because this wouldn't have been anywhere else apart from in the cinemas still. In back in those days, not even VHS and stuff like that. 1979. Look what else was on telly. Incredible Hulk. There's Skin doing, and that is, let's see, let's just get it. I don't know if I've still kept it in the 10 pence, but you get a free album worth 15 pence. But look at that Brian Bolland Hulk cover. Things are changing, like I say. Here is Dave Gibbons drawing the Hulk. Look, issue 1. Black Knight. Steve Parkhouse and John Stokes. I know I've posted a lot of this stuff on Threads because it was beautiful for further issues. But what a comic. It was only 3 pages per story, which is old school. So back in that post-war comic period of Valiant and Hotspur and Bullet and Warlord and etc., and DC Thompson and Fleetway, they would have 8 strips per issue, 3 pages each. 2000 AD, they decided 5 stories. I think it was 5 stories of 5 pages each. I might be getting those page counts wrong, but what they decided to do was, for impact in action, battle, and 2000 AD, was let's do away with that. Let's have bigger panels, splash pages, more impact, and it worked. But funnily enough, Marvel UK, I still love them. Look, Steve Dillon doing Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, come on, these are all names we know we're going to come up again. And then there's reprints. There's reprints in the back. David Lloyd doing Night Raven. Don't tell me you can't see a little bit of V Vendetta in that. And yes, I did buy all of the stickers. I was watching this programme. 1979, Saturday night TV. All right. Incredible Hulk. Yes, I did. I've got an album. Obviously, this is one. Obviously, this is one I've bought later on in life, because I've got a whole album of this with every single sticker. I managed to get every single sticker Probably cost me £100, but you know what it was like back in the day to get, even if you've done the soccer albums, the Panini soccer albums and stuff like that. Look, and that's how they used to arrive. Look, in packs like that. Do you remember the Star Wars cards as well, where you used to get the bubble gum or chewing gum? Can't remember. Let me know in the comments. Was it bubble gum or chewing gum? And yes, there is a difference. Before you start moaning. So, and in the meanwhile, I don't know at what point between the ages of 10 years old, when all this was kicking off, Star Wars, and then you had Superman in 1978, so I would have been 10 by then. And I don't know what it was. I wasn't picking up battle or action up until that point. But suddenly I did. And I don't know if it was covers like this. Look at this, a scarer cover. I don't know if it was covers like this that lured me in, like I said in the previous video. This is where cover of the week comes in, guys, But between the ages of 10 and 13, like the end of the 70s, I was getting a paper round. Now, this is the classic stuff. This is when I was well and truly appreciating, a guy like Joe Coquelin on the artwork of Charlie's War, a classic of our times. I didn't appreciate it in colour. Even back then, I know I've said that on threads as well, I didn't appreciate it in colour. It just didn't work. Maybe Johnny Red did, especially a cover like this. I always remember this cover. My mum wasn't sure. Mum, and she never disapproved, and she kind of trusted me. But there was something, I don't know what it was, but she had a bit of a. Isn't it weird how you've got a memory of your mum having a face on about the cover of this comic? Because the news agent would keep them for me. And I was still getting Bullet. But look, and Warlord. So I'm picking up Battle because we changed news agents. We moved flat house, whatever you want to call it. We moved. So we're going to a different news agent, or my mum is going to a different news agent. My dad was still cycling to work at Dagenham Dock when docks were still there, before good old Thatcher sorted it all out and got rid of the lot, decimated the UK in the 18. Anyway, we don't go there. So perhaps because it was a different news agent, I was picking up more Fleetway, which was Battle, and obviously 2000 AD, Battle and Action and all that, but Action was already dead by then. I'd missed it. I've got them all since, but it was dead by then. But I was still getting Bullet. But look, Air War, when you compare, look at that, look. Look at how Bullet, like bless them, DC Thompson, they didn't stand a chance, did they? Look at how they're predicting the future, like Air War of the future compared to 2000 AD. But I was still picking this up. I was still getting it. There's just a wonderful. I'm including this because it's just a beautiful artwork from Ian Kennedy. Doing a strip called Smasher, that massive robot just smashed everything up. And Warlord, which I will say, because Bullet ended in 1978. So after 2000 AD turned up, there was a year to go to Bullet, that was gone. But Warlord carried on after Battle was released in 1975. Warlord carried on until 1986. So it did not go quietly into the night, Warlord. But I think deservedly so, because I think the strips were strong. There was a lot of strong, I can I can put my tongue in my cheek with Bullet and, you know, Fireball, Agent Fireball and stuff, and strips like that, and Twisty, and we played football, and you know, all that Boys Own Adventure stuff that was getting, that once you picked up 2000 AD and Starlord and the Marvel UK reprints, it was just looking exactly what it was, produced by World War II veterans with a pipe and a suit and a tie, maybe even a bowler hat. You know, boys own, you know, what boys want to read, you know. No. Like, never mind the bollocks had just been released and the Damned were playing and the Clash was out, and it was all going on and it was all different. It was kids, you know. If the kids were united, we will never be divided, as the song once goes. And then, having said all of that about the Boys Own Adventure comics, a year after, so 1977, 2000 AD comes along, 78 Starlord comes along, and, you know, everything's churning. Everything's churning in the UK. Marvel UK are producing all of these great obviously they're great reprint comics, because if you can't get the US, which I couldn't, it was all blowing my mind. Incredible Hulk was blowing my mind, Spider-Man, you know, all the classic stuff, Fantastic Four, Star Wars, it was all blowing my mind. And so what did Fleetway decide to do? Oh, the success of 2000 AD just left the editorial team with the and this is Dave Gibbons, by the way. This is the artist of Watchmen in the early days. And I know my old mate Mandy on Threads and YouTube. Hello, you. You know where I'm going with this. Sorry, I can't, because I just look at covers like this, and we have this toing and froing, and the link to her channel. She is a bit younger than me, but of this era. But she obviously enjoyed, where she was a bit younger, she obviously enjoyed Big E and his exploits and Tornado. This was absolutely useless because it was a step back. So suddenly you've got 2000 AD. Then they try and take a leap forward with Starlord. And then they do this. It was supposed to be called Heroes, I think. And it was just, you know, Boys Own Adventure story. Look at that. Who cares? Who cares? That might be a cover of Valiant or Hotspur. Look, on your marks, get set, go, race into action with Storm. Who cares? When you've got time-travelling cowboys fighting with dinosaurs to send them back, or you've got lawmen of the future. Lawmen? Don't know why I said it like that. Lawmen of the future. Lawmen of the future, like Dredd. Anyway, that was, and it didn't last long. Issue 22. Is that issue 22? Yeah, that was the last issue, so it didn't even last. It was bad. So bad. I don't know why they've done that misstep, but that's when you get arrogant and, you know, think that, oh my God, this is what the kids want, okay? No, we didn't. And then this bad boy come along. And suddenly you're saying to yourself, oh, that's a Brian Bolland cover. And there is beautiful Mick McMahon. And I've done copious videos on that man's artwork, by the way. There's Brendan McCarthy artwork in here. There's Kevin O'Neill artwork in here. But you are becoming aware. There's an awareness of it, of comicdom, of the art form, of the whole thing. How it's going to be. And, well, and it is a taste. It's a taste of things to come. And anyway, I'm going to leave it there, because from here, from the end of the 70s into the 80s, the next chapter, well, then the next chapter's mega. It's mega. It's independent comics. It's first Eclipse. 2000 AD is on a mega roll in the early 80s. And the exodus of talent, all of the talent I'm beginning to recognise in UK comics, they all go over to America to find fame and fortune. I can't blame him for that. I would have done the same thing. I hope you have enjoyed that as much as I did. And I'll tell you a bit more about me paper round in the next chapter. If that isn't a hook to get you involved in the next chapter, I don't know what. You find out more about Hog's paper round in the next chapter. Enough said. Thank you for following me. If you've done that all this way, I know it's a personal journey. I'm getting it all off my chest, and I'm enjoying doing it, and I hope you are. And until next time, I'm going to bid you all adios.